In this video, we'll be setting up Microsoft's Active Directory managed by AWS. You might be asking, why would you want to do that? Pros would be that if you have AWS set this up, they take care of all the back-end infrastructure, the OS, the updates, the hardware, some of the built-in accounts like administrator account. The cons would be that you have less control, which, you could just set up an EC2 instance, install Active Directory on that, manage it yourself, but then you would also have to take care of disaster recovery, backups, all that kind of stuff. So if you want AWS to take care of all that back-end stuff, this is probably the way to go. Let's go ahead and get started. Let's go with the prerequisites first. You need, of course, an AWS account and 2 subnets on a VPC. So let's go ahead and go to Directory Services. Also, make sure you're in the region where you want this set up. So it defaults to AWS Managed Microsoft AD, so let's go ahead and set up that. And we're going to hit Next here. And you have 2 options for the editions here. The Enterprise Edition would be for a larger setup. The big difference between the two is, of course, you can have a lot more objects in the Enterprise Edition as opposed to the Standard Edition. Also, in the Enterprise Edition, it can span regions, whereas the Standard Edition does not. So we're going to go ahead and set up Standard Edition since this is a demonstration. And then for the directory DNS name, I'm just going to call this TechHelp.local. And the NetBIOS name, just TechHelp. And I don't care about a description. They give you access to the admin account, which is basically the same thing as the administrator account, the built-in administrator account. So you need to go ahead and set that password up here. Make sure you write this down somewhere. If you set it with the wrong password, you're going to have to reset the directory again. And hit Next. And I'm going to use the built-in VPC for this region. And I've already set up 2 subnets here. So we'll use these last 2 right here. And then you also have the option of creating a new subnet if you need to do that. So I'm going to hit Next. And then you'll notice here it does give pricing information, which is $86 a month, which is pretty nice because on some of the services when you create them, you have no idea how much the cost is going to be until after it's running. We're going to go ahead and create that directory now. This is going to take anywhere between 20 and 45 minutes, so I'll stop the recording until then. Okay, our directory finally got created. It took about probably 30 minutes. So let's go in and see what we've got here with the directory. Notice that you can't enable users until you hit this enable button down here. It's disabled by default for whatever reason. So I'm going to go ahead and enable this. And it should enable for groups as well. I did, okay. Or I actually had to hit the refresh button down here to bring up the existing users. So these are the users that the system created. It comes with the default domain administrator account, the guest account. These are disabled down there, except for my admin account that was created with the password we set up earlier. I'm going to create another user so you can see what this looks like. Login name, yeah, let's use test, password. And you can put all this other optional information here: display name, first name, last name, contact information, additional options, more stuff there. And the rest is optional. Let's hit Next. And we don't save that. And then you can assign that new user to a group. I'm not going to do this. I'm just going to hit Next again. And there's some more optional information here. I'm going to hit Create User. That's how you create a user. You can do the same thing for groups in here. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to set up the seamless domain join. And what that is it basically allows you to create assets in AWS, and then during the process of creating that asset or that service, you can join the domain. You can do it for EC2 instances, you can do it for workspaces, and you can also do it for RDS. So I'm going to do it through EC2. All right, so let's navigate to instances. Let's go to EC2. I'll open up a new tab for that. Before we set up an EC2 instance, we need to do one more thing. We need to set up an IAM role that will allow us to automatically join that EC2 instance to the domain. So let's go into IAM roles here. These. Actually, we're going to create a role here. And let's use EC2. Yeah, that's fine. Next. And so the policies we want to use are instance core, so that one. And then we also want to add SSM directory services. Here we go. Add these two. And the role name, let's call it AWS to E. That's good. Create the role. Alright, so now we got the role created. EC2 instances. And we don't have any instances running. So let's go to launch an instance. Alright, so let's go ahead and create the EC2 instance here. Let's call it AWS server. And we're going to choose Windows here. 25. And instead of T3 micro, that's not going to work very well. Let's go to T3 medium. And then networking will allow it to create a security group with RDP from anywhere you can help. And leave that the same under advanced details. Here's where we do the domain join here, and there's the one we created. And then the profile that we need is this one here. And we'll leave all this other stuff the same. So that looks good. And then do launch instance. Oh, what let me do without creating a key? Okay. Let's do that. So let's go to instances here. And while this is initializing, I'll just pause the video. Alright, so my instance is up and running. I'm going to go ahead and connect to it here. Let's go over here and connect. And RDP into it. We need more choices here, use a different account, and then we're going to go back to, we're going to use the admin account because we don't have access to the administrator account, and then we're going to use the NetBIOS name, TechHelp, and the password we used. Let's see if that works. Okay, finally got logged in. I wanted to bring up the server manager so you can see that it actually did join the domain here. You can go back and change the computer name if you want to. It's just the default name it gives it. So the next thing I want to do is I want to be able to add users, groups, group policies directly from this server. So I'm going to add that feature in here now so we can test that out. And then we'll go to tools. We should have users and computers. If we open this up. And then under Tech Help here, if we go to users, here's the test user we created. And then here's that computer that we're on right now. All right, so that is how you set up managed Active Directory on AWS. There are some things you can do to connect your existing on-prem domain to this. One would be to create a VPN connection. You can also run Active Directory migration tool to migrate your existing on-prem domain up to AWS. I'll put all that information down in the description. I'm not going to go over that. This is kind of beyond the scope of this video. And if you thought this video was helpful, please like and subscribe. Thank you.